Welcome back. You're here again with Alex
And Mitch.
from Net Talk. You've clicked on our episode for this week.
Thank you for doing so.
Thank you for doing so. Thanks for listening to us yap about everything that's going on in the volleyball world. All right. We always start with ourselves, slaying our shame, hitting our peak.
Are you going first or am I going first?
You can go first.
Those who listened last week, you'll know that my shame was like our coffee machine broke. This week's slay is that we bought a new one. I don't know.
Fancy.
This week's shame though is that Kate and I have not yet figured out how to make good coffee yet.
Are you going to turn into coffee aficionados? You get the
We have
grinder.
been. We've got it all. It's a full big, like the previous one we had that broke was a full like manual machine.
Yeah, but you'll be buying coffee beans, like
We have been.
exotic coffee beans. Getting out the coffee scale.
Kate's
One
had
of
the
those-
coffee scale.
One of those wire tools.
We
Do you
have
the
it.
wire
I
tools.
feel
my
like-
God! Why have I never been given a nice coffee in my life?
You have. I feel
What
like
the hell?
you probably just had a coffee and didn't realize that we go through the pain process of.
Yeah, it probably still tastes like shit.
Look, on the previous machine, we'd figured it out. I mean, we had that previous machine for like 4 years.
Yeah.
This one, different brand, so it's different, obviously. Struggling to make good coffee. Same beans though. I think it's just because we're not used to like. I don't know. For anyone who knows coffee, there's like the 54 millimeter portafilters, and then there's like
and
the
there's a
58
smaller one.
The 54 ones are really small, but they're really deep. So it's like it's like different. We're figuring it out. Anyways, so I'm hoping next week's episode of the Slay will be that we figured it out. If that's not the Slay next week, then you know that Kate and I are still having bad
coffees, and we'll be a bit more tired slowly.
Yeah, speaking of tired,
Speaking of tired, that's my shame. Shout out those of you in the Discord that stayed awake.
I can't believe your sleep schedule at the moment.
I just was like up and I was like, I'll throw a message in Discord going, this is wild, the game that's happening right now. So
what's wild is you actually get replies at 4 a.m.
Like, but that's what Discord's for.
Yeah.
That's how it used to be in the good old days, and that's what we're trying to get going again because international finals are going on everywhere, semis, across the board, all right? And they're all in the worst possible time zone ever.
For us,
For Australia. Like, this is except for SV League.
I was like, surely except for
Except for SV League, and that's the game I missed to start off. But like I just was like sitting up and I like had the week off uni. It was the mid-sem break, which they put in between all the public holidays, so they only have to give you 2 days off.
Yeah.
Just such a pain, but it's fair enough, I guess.
Classic uni.
But so I was like, I got nothing to do tomorrow.
You should have caught up on work, really.
Yeah, I should have caught up on work and gotten ahead. And now I have a bunch of assignments to do with deadlines creeping up. But I was like, I can stay. What's a 2 a.m. game? That's not that bad. And then I was like, oh no, a 2 a.m. game is a 5 a.m. finish.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter if it's 3 sets or 5, it's still going the full distance of 2.5 hours.
The points are long, everything's crazy. And I think it was the Plus Liga games that were just destroying me because both of those semis were like 5-setters. The Zavierce, Warszawa and the JSW Luke Lublin, they overlapped though. So I was watching the Zavierce Warszawa to see Luke Perry. But they just destroyed my sleep schedule over those like 4 days.
I couldn't believe like the fact that I'm normally the night owl because I just can't really sleep. I'm a certified insomniac, but the fact that I'm waking up in the morning with 500 messages from you, I'm just like, what happened of the nighttime?
So maybe I'm not getting the best analysis of the games because I'm lying on the couch, or I'm okay. I did sneak out of the room, watch it on TV, laying on the couch, and then I'm like, oh, I'm back up. Wait, what happened? Oh crap!
Suddenly it's daylight outside. You're like, not like this. Yeah.
My slave for the week can be the frowny face has turned to a happy face on on our doc, on my injury, on my calf injury. Maybe not a smiley face, more of a hesitant thumbs up. Like a physio
50-50.
Hasn't given me a clear,
But they know
I'm going
Yeah.
to. So they've given me play it by how sore you are,
which is
because I'll be seeing how much load I can increase over the week before I am undoubtedly in a high load setting on the weekend. So,
and you're missing one of our biggest games this
and I'm
weekend.
missing one of your biggest games, but that's okay. I probably wouldn't have played if I was staying.
What do you mean? Oh, because
Because of my injury, but I actually have to play through it, so I'll see how it goes. Just maybe a little less explosive. I'll pin that on the calf, not me getting fat, but that's all right.
Volleyball headlines. Oh my god, volleyball updates and headlines. For the national local scene, there hasn't been a lot. The women's Volleyroos camp was on the weekend. Saw some footage, saw some athletes there, which was good. So you're actually going to the men's one, but that's
not the
because
Volleyroos one.
That's because it's combined with the World Uni Games selection. Is it selections? Is that?
It is also a camp. There's another section for it. So there's a few people from Victoria going up. I know an expression of interest form that you then fill out and for uni students under 25 for World Uni Games, which I don't think has happened for the last couple of years. Australia definitely cancelled a team one of the previous years that I was interested in attending. So
and then it was COVID. They did do the beach ones, but the beach ones are very different.
Yeah, it's not necessarily. I don't believe the beach volleyball one is facilitated by Volleyball Australia. I think that was just a university side, but this one, Volleyball Australia selects an all university team, I guess, and they
just go.
Yeah, and there's probably going to be a pretty steep drop off between those that are trialing for a senior team versus the uni games
people.
I mean, there is a lot of. I've actually seen across like the uni space, there's a lot more AVL students, AVL players that are students.
Yeah,
that are at uni games that are doing all this, which is
that's your target audience, really.
But it's like that's the development players, the early 20s. When previously, I think Australia kind of, as soon as under 23s and under 21s got removed as a state competition, and that destroyed the junior to senior pipeline. I think because there was nothing really. If you're not going overseas, you're not going to college.
To this day, I actually have no understanding of why that was a decent decision to make, because that annoyingly that was my whole age group. So my last year in under 19s, when we got to the we literally got to the tournament and they pretty much announced that this was the last year they were doing on 21s, 23s, and we're all sitting there like, oh, so this is actually our last year. And then like it's just straight to AVL. And this was back when like I was in Queensland, so the Queensland Pirates team was at its men's team was at its peak, and they found their peak again after winning. But like we're all sitting there like, great, we can't play any rep until we're good enough to make Pirates. We're all screwed. Like that was pretty much, and that was mostly true for most of us.
Well, and then they're like, there used to at least be multiple teams from each state for AVL. Now it's restricted to the 6.
So yeah, you're right. It really cooked the pipeline. Once you're 18 to being good enough to make AVL, there's a few that will make that jump. That's fine. But the rest of us
but like the few that are already making the jump are already development players from under 18.
Yeah,
and they're the
guys
sitting in squads at 17 and 16, and they're talents. They have athletic gifts. They're development players that have a lot of promise.
And they're also probably the few people that are going to go pro. And like they're not going to go into the under 21s, under 23s.
And they don't necessarily need the longer pipeline.
No.
Versus now they've brought back under 21s, 23s.
Thank God.
With a bit of inflation behind the price to play.
It's a longer tournament, no?
Yeah.
Because it's a week, whereas the other one's only 4 days.
Yeah, I feel like.
Anyways.
But it is good to see because Australia doesn't have the youth pipeline that other countries have. We have a bit of a delayed development route.
A delayed start and an early finish.
Yeah.
Really.
But that's why that's how it used to be. It used to be you don't start playing till you're 15 unless you're really good. And then you stop at 18.
Yeah. Unless you're playing club.
Yeah. But really our time frame and what I try and tell people is you can work into being a high level volleyballer through your 20s. As you said, the international level, there's a few service subs in some of these finals games that are in their 40s.
Yeah.
So it is good to see that that's sort of growing.
Coming back.
Yeah.
Again, I am going to heavily criticize the decision to remove it because I think it was the dumbest thing ever. Not the dumbest thing ever.
Probably reasons at the time, but
yeah. Anyways, moving on to the international scene, Alex and I are going to do like a bit of a bonus episode maybe next week or the week after, depending on some editing I still need to do for some other episodes that are still on the pipeline. On the finals period, breaking down some matches, getting some expert insight into some of these matches. Do you want to start us at the top?
Yeah. I think the league that we declared best league in the world.
And it's proving to
It has
be
definitely
so.
delivered in the finals. I think all of these went to their limits, 5-setters, close matches. Really good game. I think a lot of people are tuning into Xavier play because of Luke Perry from the Australian side. I mean, he's one of our premier players that is getting international recognition.
Really in the spotlight now that he's in the Plus League.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one of Australia's senior players that actually still crossed over with the old guard and had international experience with Australia. So he has a bit of an international name. And now he's working back into being one of the best liberos in the world. They have had a bit of an awkward run.
Really?
Right? Not super awkward across their semi-finals though, but they were trading games back and forth with Warshava, who are a very good team. But this semi-final was funny a little bit because the Plus Liga has a foreigner limit. You can't have you have to have 3 Polish national players or Polish citizens or Ukrainian. And they had to navigate this because of roster construction. We talked about this a little bit live in the Discord that Karol Buchanan, Polish opposite, tweaked his ankle in the 3rd set. Got subbed. And because he got subbed for an international player, Kyle Ensing, they had to then also swap one of their pass hitters. So Aaron Russell was playing pass hitter.
Right.
You would have had too many internationals on. You would have had Aaron Russell, Luke Perry, Miguel Tavares, their setter, and Kyle Ensing.
Man.
Puts you over the limit. Theoretically, there's one row when Luke Perry's off that you come back below. But so this is a bit of a roster construction issue. So they had to take Aaron Russell off and put on Patrick. I don't know how to pronounce that L with a line through it. Laba, but
It's essentially a W.
yeah, Waba.
Yeah.
Which was okay, these guys they have played, they have subbed in previous series. They're just not the starters.
Yeah.
Pretty handy players to still have.
Yeah.
Maybe Karol Buchanan wasn't playing very well prior to his injury. He was negatively efficient, not high in the kill percentage. But Aaron Russell was being very serviceable on the left side. So you're taking out one of your high usage, relatively consistent players for 2 freshies. And it actually worked out really well. Kyle Ensing immediately he finished the game with 67% kill efficiency.
I was seeing all over Instagram that he had the game of his career in this semi-final.
And Patrick Waba on the left side, 57% kill efficiency.
Bloody
so
hell.
they came in, played 2 full sets and had
outstanding
games and just absolutely, it's got to be one of the hardest situations to come into in a final, knowing that you're stepping in. And then on the women's side, we had Warshava,
who just took it out.
I don't think that one was particularly close in the Tauron League.
It wasn't because it wrapped up, their semis and their finals wrapped up way faster than the men.
Yeah.
So there was none that really, that I could see that went the distance. I didn't check every single game. I just checked the top 3.
Yeah, they were consistently, they were 4 setters, always 3-1, 3-1.
Yeah.
So they've been relatively consistent. I mean, they were pretty top of the ladder, I think, over the regular season.
They were top 3 all season, pretty much. The Italian League, Trentino dominated over Lube the first game. It was a proper, it was tight-ish, but if you watched it, I watched a little bit. I watched the first 2 sets. Trentino were in control, and there was not much Lube could do about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you watched Lube Civitanova against Perugia, everything was going right for them. For their attackers, Nikolov could just swing. But in this game against Trentino, they couldn't do anything. I think Bottolo did nothing on the left side.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
It just happened.
And that was kind of it.
In saying that, this is quite reminiscent to how they started against Perugia. I feel like Lube are a team that are okay with a couple of losses. They'll figure you out and then they'll adjust pretty well. I just wonder if they can do the same sort of delayed start with a team as good as Trentino.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out in the next game. SV League, JTech and Suntory are going to be at the grand final, which is going to be interesting because that's the 4th seed and the 2nd seed, as opposed to because JTech destroyed.
Upset Blution.
Who were the first seed. Sorry, Nishida. I think Miura is better.
yeah. At this point, yeah. And TJ DeFalco looked so good across that series.
I think I keep seeing, maybe it's a similar post, but he keeps scoring like high 20s, 30s every match. And it's just outrageous to think that that's a thing that he can just go and do. The only drama in this one was actually the semi-final between Suntory and Wolf Dogs. I watched the full game. You watched half of it. It was a very good close. I honestly forget how good Namir is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people realize how efficient of a scorer and a server that he is. He's just an animal. But he got a little bit heated. It actually wasn't his red card. It was Tina Erno,
the Slovenian outside.
So there was a challenge. It was very, like, to be fair, Wolf Dogs had no right being in the game at this point, because I think it was like 23-18.
Yeah.
Wolf Dogs were down. Nimir goes back and serves, like rips a few aces, rips a few overpasses, get into a rally. Erno goes to swing.
Yeah, they get back to 25 all.
Yeah.
And Erno swings.
The other thing that was really odd about this is this was actually their third challenge.
Yeah.
So, and from my understanding, you only get 2 challenges. If you get them right, you keep it. If you get them wrong, you lose it. Wolf Dogs lost both their challenges earlier in the set and then asked for this challenge, got it. No one said anything about it. The commentator didn't say anything about it. And then the challenge was successful because there was a small touch. But then for whatever reason, some of the Wolf Dogs guys celebrated a bit too. It looked like it. So they celebrated too hard. Ref was like, calm down, take the red. Namir exploded on the back. You could hear him through the broadcast, and then he got a red too. They retracted the second red. They're like, we'll just give you 1 red, and then it was 26 all.
Which is, I think they retracted the second red because it seemed like the discussion was that would end the game, but it actually wouldn't have ended the end of the game because it was 25 all. They won the challenge, so it went 26-25, but they immediately got a red card.
So they had set point.
He's defending himself. He's cheering to the big screen in stadium. I don't think it looked that bad on broadcast.
Neither.
I was so amazed to see a red card pulled out for that.
Considering he wasn't on a yellow, and he was like, Namir was getting lippy all game. But the Slovenian guy, he's
quiet.
He was fine.
Yeah.
But I was seeing in the 9x9 Discord, I don't actually know if it was the Slovenian guy that got red card. It might have been someone else.
Off camera.
It wasn't Namir though, because if there's, I don't think.
But it looks like it looks like Tina Erno is gestured
the guy that
at
gets
and then given a red, and then Namir loses his head. He is cursing up a storm on the sideline. He walks over, sits on the ref table.
Yeah.
He runs to the baseline. He's losing it. The Japanese fans go silent.
Yeah, it was very quiet.
Looking at this 7-foot man just being like,
yeah,
what is going on?
As I said though, like Namir got a yellow card in the first set. Yeah. No one else got carded all game.
Yeah.
So to go straight to a red, unless it's Namir, wasn't at first. Was pretty rough in that moment. Like, I think the ref probably overreacted a little bit.
Yeah.
That being said, you can't actually hear what was said when the challenge was first, even though the ref was pointing their points. I don't know why. Yeah. So many questions.
But then, so one of them got negated after discussion with in-stadium people. So then it came out 26 all. And then your efficient attacker, Namir, wasn't so efficient. I think he blasted one out the back. And
I blasted 2 out in a row.
Yeah.
Like missed one and then got blocked and then something else.
Yeah, and it was just like, oh, there goes the game.
Speaking of,
they were still up 1 point, that would have been helpful.
Yeah, it could have been different. But speaking of other opposites that the world have not forgotten about, but like somewhat forgotten about, Mazurski is an animal. Like he's so good. Noticed one thing before we get into the State League. Wolf Dogs genuinely changed their defensive lineup to, I don't know if this is the only reason I can think of why they would do it. When Namir was backcourt, they would have their libero play out of 1 and have Namir play out of 6. And I'm pretty sure it was purely to defend Mazurski's 1-to-1 shot because he just tore up all game with that 1-to-1 shot. Anyways, food for thought. On the women's side, Osaka and Red Rockets, I'm pretty sure this is what everyone mostly expected. I think this is the 1 and 2 seeds.
Yeah, all their semi-finals were 3 zippers.
Yeah, they were pretty dominant.
I know. Last thing on the SV League, because it is just, we noticed it in the semis, is that it's 3 back-to-back games. If the series goes to 3, it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Which, if you're having 5 setters, lucky on the men's side that they didn't go to 3 match series. But that's a lot of games.
It is a lot of close games. But in saying that, though, like, we used to do that for AVL. Not Friday, but we used to do Saturday,
Sunday, 2 games.
Maybe that third game would really cook you.
Yeah.
But we weren't getting paid. We were okay. These guys are getting salaries, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. And after a 44 game season, that's a lot of volleyball.
Yeah.
But the topic that everyone really wants to listen about is the Victorian State League.
I'd say higher in the professional rankings over, all these international things. We don't get paid, but we're more professional.
We are more professional, sure. I have this conversation with our housemates a lot at the house because we're mostly volleyballers in there. It's just like, if our top state league team was to play a top SV league team, what would it look like? And my housemate and I somewhat agree in the fact that you just would not be able to receive their serve. It would just be a domination from the service line, and there would be nothing we could do about it. And I was like, watching Namir serve, Mazursky serve, Ono serve, like watching those servers, I'm just like, you're so right. There's just no way we're receiving that.
Well, they wouldn't play. They would play their D team,
and they would still do the same thing.
They would play their 19-year-old squad player, and he would service off the court. I think there's an Australian national beach player that came and spoke to us when I was in a junior team, and he said, his first international experience was like they just immediately lost, like they were down like 8-1 on serves until I don't remember who they were playing against. Just like took pity on them.
Yeah,
it was like, he started standing floating
because
it was like, let's do some other stuff rather than me just stand behind the baseline, rip top. Let's do some others.
Yeah.
And they turned out all right. So maybe we just need some development,
Some serve reception reps.
Yeah. Against
Namir.
A human serving machine.
Yeah, Namir. Men's round 4 results. Take us away.
The morning, midday, not really the morning. It became my morning with my sleep schedule, how it was going.
Fair enough.
We were opened by the Anzac round.
We were.
It was the showcase match, Cobras versus Monash. Saw some highlights from this game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Cobras I love their Anzac outfit because they have a specific
like black
jersey.
and red. It's
got the flowers and lest we forget on it.
The poppies.
The poppies.
Alex. Please. The flowers.
Damn it.
Who are you?
But it actually looked like a lot better of a game than I expected. 3-1. Monash, the highlights I saw was a lot of kind of tearing balls through the middle.
Bit of vengeance in that game. That's his whole.
Maybe.
That's his old team.
Yeah, it's a couple of trades from Cobras to Monash as well because Morley was also a Cobras player.
True.
But I assume he had a big game through the middle because they were playing. We've played Cobras. They're a younger side, so that is usually the biggest discrepancy between a young side and an old side is how much you can use your middles. Yeah, someone that is experienced.
How much you can nurture the first ball.
And Monash is a team that loves to use their middles when they can. And they do run a lot of stick ball, but they run a lot through the middle of the court.
Yeah.
So that looked like a really good matchup. Some of my juniors hung around to watch it as well, and they said it was a good game. So
nice.
Us.
Fuck. Neither of us played this one, and maybe that is alluding to the result.
No, I don't know. I don't think we could pin it on that.
No, we can't even.
I thought about running on court. I could jump off one leg.
Just run slides.
Yeah.
Which leg is it? Left.
My right. I can jump off my
slides.
left. Yeah, I can run slides. Yeah. You gave this a bit of a rewatch, I think. Watched some of the footage.
I watched the first 3 sets and then
I
couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch anymore. Yeah.
All right. Melbourne Uni Renegades played Latrobe.
Credit to Latrobe. I think they played really well.
Oh, they played amazing. Their defensive efforts and something we didn't give them enough respect on was just like the pace of the game they ran. We didn't have them enough service pressure on our side. I mean, we can always talk a bit more in depth about how we play because we were there. I was watching.
I was not watching.
Yeah.
I only watched the footage, so I wasn't there for the discussions and such like that. What you guys were
I
serving.
I would say one thing went wrong at each facet of the game. Our service pressure wasn't enough. Our serve reception wasn't good enough, so we were playing a bit off pace, sort of stuff. And Latrobe was passing well, running fast tempo balls, and making good decisions, and then playing out long points.
Yeah.
And I gave our boys a little bit of a not spray, but like I brought it up that we were always like, oh my God, they're getting so many lucky ups, blah, blah, blah.
We weren't attacking
I am
at
such
all.
a person to say you can say that once or twice.
Yeah.
But when points and rallies are going for 4 or 5 transition ball, our transition ball just wasn't good enough.
We weren't hitting the ball hard
Yeah.
enough. Like, not hard enough. We weren't attacking.
Yeah, we
that
weren't
well.
playing well. We weren't hitting good spots. So it was like you have to give them credit and take some accountability that it's our side of the net that is the problem, not them getting lucky on their defensive touches.
Yeah.
They did have a lot of heart.
True.
You know, comes with youth.
And that is their strongest thing, is that
Yeah.
they play with a bit of fire because I think they know they're the new team. They got something to prove. Like,
Yeah.
And that's something that we don't have.
Yeah, I gave a few of them a hip and shoulder as I crossed the court, you know. But we'll see him again round 18, actually. We'll see him last round of the year.
Yarra Eastside? I didn't see this.
Eastside's found ways to be winning, to play winning volleyball. I mean, they lost this match, but they won a set. 3-1.
They're finding ways to be competitive.
Yeah, it's a pretty good result against Yarra, who is looking like one of the better teams on the men's side, as always, just so consistent, pretty diverse in their options.
Similar to us in the sense that they've got some good depth. The difference I think people will find between top teams and teams that are middle/bottom is like the question of depth.
Yeah, if someone can't be called upon in this moment, who's next up?
And how much of a, negative deficit does that put you in?
Yeah.
Wasn't there, but yeah, obviously you weren't. This was Churchill.
Yeah, out in Latrobe.
It's like a 2-hour drive. 3 hours from here, actually. Maz and Heidelberg. Look, Maz, we gave you our thoughts and prayers.
Heidelberg has not made the same mistake that they have made in previous weeks.
I was going to see the
and
scoreline for this.
They won 3-0. So,
Yeah.
because they have had a couple drop sets, a couple 5-setters, but Maznol was competitive, getting just shy of 20. But
I caught up with a couple of the Heidelberg guys and was put on some criticism
for the fact that we went to 5 with them the week earlier.
for the fact that we jokingly said like, oh, whoever beats Heidelberg will give them like a 40-minute episode. But then the guy I was speaking to was like, but like, where's our reward if we just win all the time? And I was like, oh, you know what? That's so fair. And he's like, you're making other teams want to beat us more. And I was like, well, they should already want to.
Yeah, everyone already wants to.
But
Everyone
fair enough.
comes to those matches a little differently.
We got to think of a reward for Heidelberg for doing something. And I jokingly said like, well, if you just win again undefeated, you can have a reward then. And he was like, no, we can't do that. And I was like, you've done it in the past.
No, they weren't undefeated. We got them. So maybe Renegades will get the 40-minute episode, you know. We can just talk about ourselves as if we don't already do that every episode.
No comment. VFAM Dandenong.
Last game of the day.
I wasn't there for this one. I was at the other stadium. Because I was like, oh, I can actually catch this one. But then I was at Maroondah.
Yeah, Dandenong won a set, 3-1. So Dandenong pushed VFAM a little bit. I did hear some feedback about how VFAM was looking because our Prem 2 men were
They were there, yeah.
And it looked good. Like, I think VFAM's one of those teams that will work into it a little bit. Dandenong capitalised on that. I think they were really efficient from what I heard in the set that they won.
Yeah.
Because when it got down to it, end of a set, some teams can sometimes find a way to come back, and Dandenong nipped that in the bud and was just really strong on their attack. So good to see a really competitive match
On
out of Dandenong.
On the women's side, started off with a banger. The Dandenong and Yarra Rangers. This was last week's match of the week because we suspected that this would be a really good match to watch, and I think it was. Yeah, I actually watched some footage of this. I think it was very momentum based in the sense that one team played just a bit below average for a set. The other team capitalized on that, and then the team that played bad sort of made adjustments, and then it was a flip. So if I go into the score here, it's very tight. Like the first set went 26-24 Dandenong way. The next set, Yarra figured it out, got 25. The next set, Dandenong figured it out. The next set, Yarra figured it out. And then Dandenong had just capitalized, and they took the fifth set and they ran with it at 15-8. From the stuff that I watched, both teams more or less had most of their players. I think Dandenong were missing one of their players, but I don't think she was a starter. I think she's just a backup. It looked good. It looked competitive. Both teams struggling a little bit on the serve. Lots of service errors from what I saw. But otherwise, it looked like a really good game, and I wish I was there for it, like in person.
Yeah.
Because footage is only, so much.
One crappy angle.
It was a decent angle.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's some high tripods coming out at Dandenong. It's lovely to see.
I'm a big fan. And then it was our match.
It was
my women versus the Latrobe women, so the Renegades versus Latrobe.
On at the same time as us, which is why you were 2 courts over.
Not playing.
Coaching up a storm, though.
Yeah. This game, our girls had a little bit of a laugh because I think this is a Renegades thing too. We're very slow starters. So in the first and third sets, we started 8-0 down, and I called it the early timeout both times. And was just like, it wasn't like it was 8 aces or anything like that. It was like 8 genuine, really, really long, good quality rallies that we just lost out on. And I was like, it's all right, we'll figure it out and then we'll go. And that's exactly what happened. And this is the criticism that I think most new teams into Premier League will have, is that they can play at a certain level for so long. I think Latrobe women, they're a really good team. They play at a very high level for probably like 10 to 15 points, and then it sort of dips a little bit. Goes to that. Like we talk about it a lot in terms of like sustained pressure. Like how long can you withstand sustained pressure before your level drops? Like everyone knows you're not playing at 100% for the entirety of the set. That goes down, that goes up. So this was good. It was a good match. I was really proud of the girls for being clean because Latrobe seriously pressured us and on serve, and their outer system pipe is really gnarly. I think some teams should seriously watch out for it. It gave me a lot of headaches. I was like, what are we doing here? But this was good. And then Cobras versus Mazenod. I caught the end of this because I was running back to Maroondah for my Premier 2 women. It, at the end of the day, just looked like Cobras had more pieces of the puzzle. Mazenod being really, really good on the serve. I think they just missed out on maybe playing through the middle of the court a little bit, playing really well out of system, which Cobras are really good at. Like when we played them earlier in the season, that was the first thing I noticed, is that their serve reception isn't amazing, but their out of system play is really good. They get the ball going in long rallies and they go back through the middle. But yeah. So Maz took the first set with some really good service pressure that I heard about. I think I saw the second, third once I walked through the door, stayed for a couple of points while the girls were warming up. And then, yeah, that was the only sort of takeaway from that. Good work for the Cobras women. Last match of the day, VFM Heidelberg. This was a really, really close one. The score line for this is super close.
I know, it hurts to see that it is just like it gets marked down as 3-1, because I heard some stuff from this as well that was like all compliments to Heidelberg. So Mary did a tremendous job delivering the ball, making correct decisions, which was probably the difference between this going to 5. Yeah. Because that third set score was 29-27.
The other thing about that specifically, and because I got footage of this as well, it's on YouTube, so everyone can go find it. Around about 24 all in that third set, VFM lost probably their main player, their pass hitter. She went down with a sprained knee, which is not something anyone wants to see. I hope she is recovering well and it's not super serious. So they went down. Not to discredit the Heidelberg women, but I think this match goes maybe to 5 and maybe goes the other way, or maybe not. You never really know. Yeah. But if that doesn't happen, but this match was really close. On the footage, it was very swing heavy from the service line. It was legitimately who could apply the most service pressure. There'd be like 4-point swing this way, 5-point swing that way, and then 6-point swing this way, and then 3 points here. It was just very, very swing. and this is sort of just bread and butter volleyball, but when either team could use their middle, that was when they were having those dominant runs. Again, credit to both setters for knowing when and when not to do that. That was a good game. I think that's VFUM's first loss.
Yeah.
Of the entire season.
This is what we're saying, like about seeing now that we're getting through to the midpoint, teams that have had maybe a slightly easier run and now coming up against
tougher and
more
tougher
of that
teams.
top competition.
Yeah.
That closed out our Saturday.
Yeah.
And that closes it out. Before we have a little look at our next week matchups, we'll throw it to our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Andor Financial.
Now, as some of you know, a good friend of ours, good friend of the show, and our Melbourne Uni Renegades captain, Michael Cirillo, has recently started his own mortgage broking business.
Not only this, but Mike and Andor Financial have committed to supporting and sponsoring Net Talk for the indefinite future.
If you didn't know, Mike has spent the last 10 years in the finance industry in both financial planning and mortgage broking roles and is super passionate about empowering people to take control of their financial future.
So you or if anyone you know is in need of a home loan or would like to review their current lending situation, reach out to Mike and Andor Financial.
You can find out more information in the footnotes or description down below.
Thank you again to Andor Financial for sponsoring Net Talk.
And we're back to look at our round 5 matchups.
Yes.
You know, see how teams are going, who they come up against.
Yeah.
Maybe some people will be missing some players because they will be in Canberra on the men's side.
We'll talk about that later.
Well, when they come up, we can give them a little pass that they'll be away. We'll start with the women's side.
We will. First up at Mazenod, Latrobe versus Mazenod. I think this will be interesting. I think this is Latrobe's chance to really find their foot in the door, potentially get a win, and the exact same can be said about Mazenod. Both very young teams, both probably looking for the win on this one, and both probably looking to solidify some confidence in their season and sort of go like, all right, we've got the foot down. Let's hit the gas and keep going. The next match at Monash, this is the game to watch for this round. We've got Heidelberg versus Monash. I think this is genuinely going to be a heater. I think this is legitimately going to be what is Heidelberg's peak and what is Monash's peak. I think Monash have already hit their peak when they played Dandenong, like first or second round of the season. I think Monash, just let's see if Heidelberg can weather that storm. They're really clean, really good at the moment. Obviously having Alyssa back really helps with that. Heidelberg, I think younger than most years, but got a lot of firepower. So let's see if they can get all cylinders firing. This is at Monash. So if you're at Monash, I would definitely or near Monash, I would definitely go and give this one a watch. I think this is going to be great. It's at 12:30. Next one is another heater. I think this one is a very close second for the match of the week, but we've got Dandenong versus VFUM at 12:30 SVC. So if you can't get to Monash, definitely stick around at SVC and watch this one at 12:30. I think this one will be a heater. I'm hoping VFUM's player, her knee isn't that bad. I'm hoping she'll be back. That will make a big difference, I think, for this Dandenong game. But yeah, this is again, so VFUM second on the ladder, Dandenong third, I think. So this is another chance.
Top end matchup.
VIP and Cobras. VIP had the break last week, so see how they come back. Cobras are on a roll at the moment. They've had a few wins under their belt. They've played some top teams, some not so top teams. So they're looking to see where they're at with this VIP team. VIP have proven that they can take sets off top teams, so they definitely can't fall asleep in this one. And then at 2:30 SVC, it's Renegades versus Yarra. This is going to be our real first big game of the season. And I'm really excited to see what we can bring to Yarra.
What you can do.
I'm also a little bit terrified, but that's all right.
Oh, always. Isn't that how you're supposed to be?
Yeah.
Because on the men's side, we're also a little bit terrified.
Nah, I am, for whatever reason, more terrified to coach than to play. I think because it's like, I actually don't know.
You'll be playing this round, right?
Yeah, we can leak that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they're listening to it on the Friday. You know, you don't get your training session to prepare.
Yeah.
I will not be there.
Yeah, I will be there. You won't be there.
Yes. That's maybe a step up over previous weeks. We'll have a setter returning.
A step up. I haven't trained in a few jokes. I have trained. Yeah, I've been training every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. But it was just our hesitation last week was someone that hadn't played right side swapping
Yes.
over. So our left sides across the game rotated through that
I also
spot.
feel like we had about 3 different right sides.
Yeah. So they didn't even really get the full 5 sets to warm into it and figure it out. Everyone can do it. Right side's the easiest position.
Yeah.
But we'll have
For us,
a centre
as right
back.
side.
We'll have
Middle,
we'll
libero.
See if
Yeah, we'll have-
outside can play.
Yeah, we'll have all of our players back.
Yeah.
This will be the
Yeah.
first week we're at full 14 because we've got 15 in the squad.
Yeah.
So with you out, it's kind of perfect.
Yeah. Phew.
But yeah, we'll
Just cut me.
don't tempt him.
Next game of the day, we've got Heidelberg versus VFAM.
Oh wait, sorry. That is not to gas us up, but like that is also the match to watch this week. I think is us and because
'Cause I'm not there.
realistically that's second v third from last year
Yeah.
because you're not there.
Yeah.
Correct, because you're not there.
Yeah.
So if you're at Dandenong at 12:30 and you want something to watch, I would recommend that.
Mm.
Or on the other court will be Heidelberg VFAM.
Yeah. Playing right next to each other.
Yeah, we are.
There'll be some hard hit balls flying between these courts. I already know it.
Yeah.
Mate, Heidelberg, as always, have some big swings, a lot of cross court, but VFAM's pass hitter as well. It has some big swings
And
over
some-
blocks
yeah.
around everywhere.
He's a big boy.
So we'll be seeing that game's high flyer who can hit the ball harder, you know?
yeah.
And then when Heidelberg gets fed up, they can hit it smarter as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
If they do get fed up, which they likely won't. Moving on, Latrobe versus Mazenod, pretty much the same as the women. I don't think either of these teams have really seen a win. Is that correct? I feel like that might,
Give them a quick,
I feel like that
quick
might
little
not be
look-see.
correct. I think Latrobe have had a win.
Yeah, Mazenod has not. Latrobe did. Remember, they beat VFAM in that 5 setup
Yes,
previous
yes,
week. That was a little bit of an upset.
So I think Latrobe looking to climb the ladder and sneak into finals. Mazenod looking for their first win and their first potential at starting that climb into that finals top
If
8
both teams come into this game treating it,
like a good game,
yeah,
which it will be a good game.
They're both actually relative, like high tempo teams.
Yeah.
And we'll see who has better defensive touches.
They actually, thinking about the Mazenod game and watching footage of our game, they actually kind of play very similarly. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Next one, Dandenong Monash at Monash. I think this is similar thing for Dandenong. Can they still be competitive? Can they take some sets? Can they steal the win? This is a very well-oiled Monash team at the moment, though.
One of the most well-oiled teams we've seen in recent state league history, I think.
Yeah, they've got a lot of depth, a lot of talent, and they're figuring it out. Like, I think they'll be one of the top 3 teams to beat. Last game of the day, 2:30, Dandenong, Eastside, and Cobras. Have Eastside gotten a win yet?
They have not.
And Cobras haven't either.
Oh, sorry. What am I saying? They've got 2 wins. Sorry. They beat Dandenong.
And
that
then
was
they had
early in the season, and they beat VFAM in that 5 setter.
In that 5-setter.
On the second half of a back-to-back for Phantoms.
Yeah.
Not to negate their win because it was a good win.
Yeah.
And Cobras still haven't yet, but they will. This will be good to see.
This will be
the
good to see
youth.
how both teams, that can, get out of the gate running. And again, all goes towards securing those sort of final spots because you've got to do the work early. There's only like, I don't know,
And
9 games left.
Eastside usually always does enough to get there, so they'll be doing well on the stick. I reckon a lot of stick ball these games. Maybe see if they can run
Some middle.
tear it up.
I think the team that runs more middle in these 2 matchups will probably do pretty well. Yeah. So that's about it for the weekend. I'm excited to play.
Big sigh, sigh, excited.
But 50-50. I'm excited to play, but I'm excited to coach. But they're so close together. I'm not going to have time to like really switch my brain from one to the other.
Yeah,
Especially if we don't do that well against Yarra. Like when we play, because we play before I play before I coach.
yeah.
I also too am tired of not getting my good coffee again. Just a reminder for everyone to send in your score lines and stories from the weekend. Let us know how you went. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I
As
mean,
best we
I
can.
saw. Oh, damn it! I can't remember which team it was. It was the State League 2 team again. That was
That
it.
went to like
Was
44
it Alliance
points.
or Derrimut that went so high the
think it was
previous
Derrimut,
week?
yeah.
Because whoever it was this week went the opposite. I think they won a set 25, like 5.
Oh, yeah, we
Someone
did
sent
see that in the
So that
Discord.
was an absurd stat line to see
Yeah.
again.
Good
Let
to
us
know
know what's going on interstate as well.
Yeah, we'll see if we've got some time.
Yeah, cricket. Seen someone playing some opposite out in
Yeah.
the Western Australia.
There's been some comments on our YouTube. They're saying that we need Jose back, and I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, he can play right side for us.
Yeah.
Keep joining us on Discord, especially when there's lots of international volleyball going on. We can chit chat in there. Let us know what you're seeing in games when my glossed over eyes are just seeing balls going fast and
And just like, oh, that's a point on scoreboard. Who hit that?
Yeah, who hit that? Who was that? What?
But yeah. All right. We'll catch you in the round. Hope to see you there. You won't see Alex because Alex will be in Canberra. Boring.
Oh, how fun. Canberra's the best. What do you mean? That's why it's
Canberra-
our capital. It's our centre of everything.
Canberra is the worst. All right. We'll catch you in the next one.
See ya.